Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom and welcome to today's Daf NIDAH Daf Ayin Beis. We will begin at the Mishnah on Daf Ayin Aleph Amud Beis towards the bottom. Haroya Yom Achadasar. If an Isha sees dam on day 11 of her Yemei Ziva. Now the halacha is that initially if an Isha sees dam, she's a NIDAH for the next 7 days, irrelevant of whether she does or doesn't see any dam during those days, after which she's toivel. And then begin the 11 Yemei Ziva, the Achad Asar Yemei Ziva. The halacha on those days is as follows. If she sees one day, say she sees on day number 1, she needs to be Shomer Yom Keneged Yom. She needs to observe 1 day of Tahara to correspond to the day of Riyah, meaning the beginning of day number 2 needs to be B'Tahara. Mixas Hayoim is Kikuloi. We apply the halacha that a little bit, part of a day, has a significance in certain halachas as if the whole day was already kept, and she can be toivel and be tar, but the Tahara is pending. It depends on further developments on day number 2. If she doesn't see any more dam, then certainly she's tar. But if she should see dam again on that day, then the Riyah on that day is mitzvah if it combines with yesterday's Riyah, and she is Tamei Limafreya. It's a retroactive tumah, meaning it cancels and nullifies her mikvah Tahara of that morning, and she needs to be Shomer Yom Keneged Yom once again, which is day number 3. And the same story again, if she's Shomer Yom, she's clean in the beginning of day number 3, she can be toivel and she's tar, and this Tahara is dependent upon what's going to happen on the rest of the day. If she is tar, fine. Otherwise, if she sees again, and now it's already 3 days in a row, day number 1, day number 2, and day number 3, now she's considered to be a Zava Gedoyla, and is required to be Sefer Shivan Akim to count 7 clean days, and afterwards she's toivel. Now after the 11 Yemei Ziva, begin again the Yemei NIDAH. Meaning, after the Yud Aleph Yemei Ziva are over, even if she's to see dam, it is not anymore dam Ziva, but rather dam NIDAH. Of course, she's not a NIDAH yet until she sees. We're speaking about potential, meaning those Yemei NIDAH which follow the Yemei Ziva are potential Yemei NIDAH. If she sees dam, she is going to be a NIDAH once again. Now, day number 11 is very unique. It's different than the other Yemei Ziva. Why is that? Because all other days have a potential of developing into being a Zava G'dayla. Meaning, if she sees a Riyah on day number 1, she can go ahead and see on day number 2 again, and then day number 3, and now she's a Zava G'dayla. However, day 11, Yom Yud Aleph, doesn't have that option, doesn't have that possibility. It doesn't contain with it a potential of ever turning and evolving and developing into a Zava G'dayla. Why is that? Very simple. Because what is the day after day 11? That's Yemei NIDAH. Day number 12 is already Yemei NIDAH. During the Yemei NIDAH, she can't become a Zava. So now the question is, what about a Zava Ketana? What about the halacha of Shomer Yom Keneged Yom? If an Isha sees on day 11, is she mechuyev? Is she obligated to be Shomer Yom Keneged Yom on account of that Riyah? Or not? Perhaps do we say that since the Yom Yud Aleph cannot become into a Zava G'dayla, cannot combine with the following day, with the subsequent days, therefore, Yom Yud Aleph doesn't even contain with it the halachas of Shomer Yom Keneged Yom. If she is to see on day 11, she's not mechuyev to be Shomer Yom Keneged Yom either. So we have a machlekes v'shamei mesilo in this Mishnah. Haroya Yom Achadasar Yom. If she sees on day 11, v'tavla le'erev, and she's toivel on that very night, v'shimsha, and she does tashmish, v'sham yomrim, she is a full-fledged zava. She requires Shomer Yom Keneged Yom, and that night, since it is still before she was Shomer Yom Keneged Yom, that only happens at the beginning of day 12. Therefore, metam and mishkav v'moshav, the Isha and the Isha are metame, what they sit and lie on, meaning they are considered to be tmeim. Her tumah carries over to the boil as well. They are mechuyev to being a carbon on account of being boil a zava. No, that is not the halacha. Yom Yud Aleph, day 11, does not require her to be Shomer Yom Keneged Yom, and therefore, certainly on the actual Yom Riyah she's tamei. But if the Yom is over and it's already night, and now she's toivel, min ha-Torah, she's already tar. they are potter from bringing a carbon. Since minat Torah, she is tahira. Now, why does Beis Hillel only discuss carbon and not tumah? So Rashi explains that even according to Beis Hillel, there is exera d'Rabbanan regarding tumah. Why is that? Because since if what took place here would have happened on any other of the Yimei Ziva, say for example on day number 1 of her Yimei Ziva, she would have seen on day number 1, that night would have been Toivel, Minat Torah, she's still Tameh. Because a Re'iyah on day number 1 does require her to be Shomer Yoyim K'neged Yoyim, meaning she has to be Shomer day number 2. Until then, she's Tameh Minat Torah. Therefore, if what took place here would have happened on any other day, they would have been Tameh. So there's a Gzerim D'Rabbanan to apply Tumah in our case as well, in order to avoid confusion. But that's only regarding Tumah D'Rabbanan. However, Minat Torah, since she's Torah, they are Potter from carbon. Continues the Mishnah. Tavla b'yom shel achrav. If she was Toivel on day number 12, meaning she was Shomer Yom K'neged Yom, she was Toivel, v'shimsha es beisa, v'achar kach rasa, and afterwards she found dam. So let's remember, we're talking about day number 12, which is already the first day of her Yomei NIDAH. So even though she's seeing dam now, it's dam NIDAH. It will not combine, it will not be mitzdarif with yesterday's riyah. Today's dam is dam NIDAH. Yesterday's dam is dam ziva. They don't combine with each other. So if she's tummy now, it's only going forward. It's not retroactive. It's not mafri at all. Therefore, minat Torah, what took place this morning up until the riyah, it stays in its place. It's maintained. She's still tar regarding what happened until the riyah. And therefore, meaning they're only metame midrabanan uptur min carbon. They are pater min carbon, since minat Torah there was no tumah, there was no retroactive tumah. However, midrabanan they are still metame. And why is that? Because once again there's a gzeir d'Rabbanan. Because if this would have taken place on any other day, on any other of the Yemei Ziva, for instance, if she would have seen on day number 1 of the Yemei Ziva, which requires a Shmir Shem K'neged Yoyim on day number 2, and she was Shomer at the beginning of the day, she was Toivel, they were Meshamish, but then she saw again, as we mentioned earlier, her Tahara was pending. As soon as she sees again, it nullifies, it cancels the Tahara, and they are indeed Metame, she's Metame L'Mafreya, and they turn out to both be Tameh. Retroactively, they were both Tameh. So therefore, since in that case there would be a Tumah Midah Torah, so Chachamim made a Gzera to Metame her in our case of day number 12 as well, to avoid confusion. Beis Hillel, no, there isn't even a Tumah D'Rabbanan, it is merely Harei Gargaran. He's a guzzler. It's a very inappropriate behavior, meaning, since during the other Yimei Ziva, this behavior is not acceptable, meaning, if she sees on day number 1, day number 2 she's Toivel, and she's Tar, but since the Tahara is only pending, it is dependent on further developments on that day, they have to wait and see, therefore he's not allowed to be Boil until they are certain that she'll be Tar, meaning they have to wait until the end of the day. Since it is an unacceptable behavior during the other Yimei Ziva, so too Chachamim Aser, they forbid him from, they called him a Gargaran at least, and they very much discouraged this type of behavior even on day 12 because of Exera, to avoid confusion. Continues the Mishnah. Umaydim, Beisham and Beis Hillel both agree in the following case, meaning only on day 11 do we have a discussion whether there's a Chiv Shmir Siyam K'neged Yom or not. We have Machlekes Beisham and Beis Hillel. However, on a Re'iyah that took place on any other one of the Yimei Ziva, certainly there's no Machlekes there. Umaydim B'roya B'seichid Alaf Yom. If she saw in any other of the Yud Alaf Yom, V'tavla Le'erev, she was Toivel that night, V'shimsha, she was Meshamish, certainly in that case, Shemetaman Mishkav Moshe B'chayavim B'karban. Why is that? Because they're Tamim Minat Torah. Until she is Shemer the next day B'tahara, she is Tamim Minat Torah. There's no Machlekes about that. Tavla B'yom Shel Achrav. Say it's already day number 2, she was already Shemer Mixas Hayom, and she was Toivel. So at that point she's Tar, but it is only a pending. It's dependent on what's going to happen that day. It is still Tali. It is hanging. So, as we mentioned before, they're not allowed to be Meshamish. They can't take a risk, they can't take a chance. What if they do go ahead and do that? B'shimsha. Harezu tar b'sra, it's bad behavior. Umagon, whatever they touch. Ubilasan, and the actual be'ilah regarding are they mechuyev b'karban or not, Tuluyin. it's all pending. Meaning we don't know. We have to wait till the end of the day to conclude on the status of the taharas that they may have touched, and also regarding their chiv karban. If she maintains taharas, they were lucky. So the taharas remain tar, and they're patum and a karban. But if she should go ahead and see again after the tashmish, then retroactively she was tamei, they are matami mishkav v'moishav, and they're chayav b'karban. So in conclusion, we have 4 levels of categories in this Mishnah. We have a case of tumah min ha-Torah, and a chiv karban min ha-Torah. We have another case of tumah min ha-Torah that is toli, meaning it is a pending tumah. We have a third case of a tumah only midrabanan with a ptur karban, and we have the final case of hareza gargaran, a gazler, a very discouraged form of behavior. Meaning, if there was a re'iyah on day number 1, for example, that is a re'iyah which is machayev shem yom k'neged yom. In that case, it is a tumah min ha-Torah until she is shem yom k'neged yom. If she is shemer the next day and she is toivel, at that point the tumah is pending; it's totally. However, if the re'iyah took place on day 11, so according to Beis Shammai, there's no difference between day 11 and day number 1. She needs to be Shem Yom K'neged Yom. She is Tamim Min HaTorah until she does Shmiras Yom K'neged Yom. And regarding a carbon as well, she is Mechuyev carbon until she is Shem Yom K'neged Yom. However, according to Beis Hillel, it is only a Tumah Midrabanan. Regarding the next day, day number 12, if she was Shomer that day, and she was Toivel, and they were Meshamish, so according to Beis Shammai, there is a chi, and she sees again, she's dam again. According to Beis Shammai, it is tumah midrabanan. According to Beis Hillel, it is merely a gargaran. Continues the Gemara. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in the Bryce. Vishavin, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both agree if she sees during the Yud Aleph Imei Ziva, any other day aside from day 11, there's no machlekes. Vishavin b'tevelas laila lezava. If she sees, say, on day number 1, and she's tevel immediately that night, she ain't a tefillah. Tefillah doesn't count. Why? Because she's obligated to be Shem Yom K'neged Yom. She ain't a tefillah. V'shavan b'roya, and the Bryce explains again. V'shavan, they agree b'roya b'soichid alaf yom v'tavla l'era b'shimsha shemetava mishka v'moishav v'chayav m'karban. Certainly, in that case of a re'iyah on day number 1 of the meziva, she is tamei. They are chayav a carbon up until she is matar herself by being Shem Yom K'neged Yom. When is there a machlekes? Ella only b'yom Yud Aleph Yom, on day 11. Beis Shammai maintain that day 11 is no different than the rest of the Yimei Ziva. Beis Hillel hold no, day 12 does not obligate Shmiras Yom K'neged Yom, and therefore that night she can be toivel, and Min HaTorah she is tar and potter from carbon. What's going on? Maishna Yom Yud Aleph, Yom Teichad Aleph. Why are you differentiating between day 11 and the rest of the days? If you yourself, Beis Hillel, are equating day 11 to the other days regarding Tumah, you've said that they are Tamitami Mishkav Moishav, although it is a re'iyah of day 11, so you're equating it regarding Tumah. So why are you not equating them regarding carbon? Why are you not machayev a carbon? There's no kasha. There's no comparison. If somebody sees dam on the other days, say on day number 1, certainly in that case there's a chiyuv to be Shem Yom K'neged Yom. Why? Shekain Yom Shala'achrav Mitzaref Yimei Leziva. Because the day following day number 1, day number 2, and day number 3 can be mitzaref with day number 1 to make her into azava gedayla. And therefore, it is logical, it makes sense that day number 1 would have all the dinim of ziva and would be mechayev shmiras yom k'neged yom. Taimru, how could you compare? How could you say b'yom Yud Aleph on day 11 that it should also have the same halachas? She'ein yom shel achrav shenistaref yimei leziva. Day 11 has a disadvantage. He's different than the other days. Day 11 cannot be mitzaref with the subsequent days to make her into a zava gedayla. And therefore, since day 11 cannot be mitzvah with the following days. Therefore, it doesn't have any chiyuv of being shomer yom keneged yom. It has a disadvantage. It's different than the other days. It can't be mitzvah with day number 12, meaning the re'iyah of day number 12 will never combine with re'iyah of day number 11. And therefore, regarding the re'iyah of day 11, it is also exempt from the halacha of being shomer yom keneged yom. Amar lehem Beis Shammai, hashu midei seichem. Why aren't you consistent with your position? Again, you agree that even the re'iyah of day 11 brings with it a tumah that night, the night after day 11. Even if she's tayva, you agree she's still tamei. So why not regarding carbon? Yash v'leila carbon. We should equate re'iyah of day 11 to the other days also regarding carbon. V'im lo yishiv v'leila carbon. If you are not machayv carbon, lo yish v'leila tumah. Why you be matama them? Ahamlan betzilel. What's the shaykhs? What's the comparison between tumah and carbon? If we applied the halachas of tumah in this case, that is only a chumrah. It's only a chumrah with the rabbanon. Certainly with the deraisa, they're not tummy in this case. When she saw on day 11 and she was table that night, there was no requirement to be shomer yom keneged yom min haTorah. It is only a chumrah with the rabbanon, like we mentioned before. It's a gzeira. We can't possibly be mechayiv, obligated to be a carbon, to bring a carbon that they're not mechayiv in haTorah. That would be bringing chulun la'azara. That would actually be causing a kula here. We can't do that. V'oid, in addition, says Beis Hillel to Beis Shammai, midivreichem atem noishchem. From your own words, you are biting, you're contradicting yourself. Why? Sha'atem oimrim, because you yourself are saying, Tov l'yom shela achraf. If she is tovel on the day following day 11, meaning on day 12, if she was shomer yom keneged yom, and she is tovel, and then v'shimsha, she was mishamish, v'achar kach ra'asa, and afterwards she saw dam, you yourself are agreeing, she'metame mishka v'moishav of turbinat carbon. In the Mishnah you said that in that case there is exer d'Rabbanan applied, and they are metame midrabbanan, they are metame mishka v'moishav, although they're not mechayiv carbon. So you see, you yourself are differentiating sometimes between tumah and carbon. Af atam hishviv midasechem. You too should be consistent in your halachas. If you're equating this case to the other days regarding tumah, carbon. What about carbon? Why are you being pattering? Why are you not being mechayiv carbon? If you're not equating this day to the other days regarding carbon, so why then are you being metame? So the same argument you're giving us can be applied to yourself as well. Ella, you must say the answer is lahachmer lahakil. You're simply being stringent. You're machmer. You're imposing a tumah midrabanan, but not regarding carbon. To be mechayiv them a carbon would necessitate bringing chul nazara, which would actually be a kula, and that we're not empowered to do. Hachanami, so too in our case. Lahachmer lahakil. We're just trying to be machmer, and we can't bring a kula. We can't allow them to bring chul nazara. Meaning that if she sees on Yom Yud Aleph on day 11 and she's table that night, although we apply Gzeir D'Rabbanan to be machmer, to be matama them, that's strictly regarding a chumrah, regarding tumah, but not to allow them to bring chul nazara. So in conclusion, there was an argument between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai regarding day 11. Beis Shammai holds it is equated to any other day of Yimei Ziva, and it requires Shmiras Yom Keneged Yom until tomorrow, until she is shomer, the beginning of day 12, she is tmei min haTorah. If she sees dam afterwards, she's tovel on day 12 and she sees dam afterwards, it is only a tumah mafreya midrabanan, but not a chiv carbon. According to Beis Hillel, day number 11 does not require Shmiras Yom Keneged Yom, since it cannot be mitzvah, it can never combine with day 12 to make it a double riyah, to make it a 2-day riyah, certainly not to turn it into a 3-day riyah azava gedola. Since that's the case, day number 11 has a disadvantage and does not have a chi of shomer yom keneged yom. She can be table that night, and haTorah she's full-fledged tar. However, midrabanan there's a tumah, but only lahachmer and not lahakil, not regarding allowing them to bring a carbon. Continues the Gemara. Amar Afhuna, according to Beis Shammai says that on day 12, when she is shomer yom keneged yom for day 11, she was tovel and she was mishamish, afterwards she sees dam, she is tamei midrabanan. Why? It's a gzeira. Because as we explained earlier, if this were to happen on any other day, on any other one of the Yimei Ziva, meaning, for example, if she would have seen dam on day 1 of Yimei Ziva, which requires her to be shomer yom keneged yom day 2. If she is shomer yom, the beginning of day 2, she's toivel, and at that point she's tor, but the tahara is pending. Perhaps she'll see dam again, and that riyah will cancel the tahara, will be a tumah mafreya retroactively. So in that case, since it is a tumah, it is a tumah that can happen, therefore the chachamim were geyser and were metame even on day 12 because of a gzeira that if this would have happened on day 2, meaning if they would have been mishamish and then she would have seen dam, it would have been metame mafreya. Therefore, the Chazal made a gzera to be metame even on day 12 to avoid confusion. It says Rav Huna, a tremendous chiddush. If we see Beis Shammai make this type of gzera, so then, even if she doesn't see, even if day 2 came along, she saw on day 1, she was shomer at the beginning of day 2, and she was mishamish, even if she never actually saw on day 2, there would be a gzera d'Rabbanan and she would be tamei. Why is that? Because gzeira loy rasa atu rasa, with geyser, a case where she hadn't seen, atu rasa, since if she would have seen, she would be tamei. So Chacham applied a tumah even when she hadn't seen yet to avoid confusion. It's a gzeira d'Rabbanan. Just like we see that Beis Shammai are metame on day 12, in the case where she was matayr herself and she was mishamish, and she saw later on Beis Shammai were metame l'mafreya. Why? Because although now in Torah there's no grounds for tumah, because the riyah of later is not mitzdaref and is not metame her l'mafreya, nevertheless Chachamim made a gzera d'Rabbanan to metame her, because since if this took place on a different one of the Yimei Ziva, meaning she was shomer yom keneged yom, she was toivel, and then she sees that riyah indeed would have been metame her l'mafreya, therefore the Chazal applied a tumah in our case as well, mishum gzera. Therefore, in the case of a riyah on day 1 and day 2 she was shomer yom keneged yom and she was toivel, Chacham will apply a tumah right now at the present moment, even though she has not yet seen a gzera, because perhaps she might see. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Huna, Mishkava Moshava Shebesheni, her Mishkav and a Moshav, what she sat or lied on day number 2, she sees on day number 1, which requires Shmir Shem Keneged Yom day number 2, and she was toivel. At this point, Maratayr she is tor. However, midrabanan, there will be a tumah on her Mishkav and Moshav. Beis Shammai metamen afal pisha tavla, even though she was already toivel, afisha loy rasa, even though at this point she has not yet seen, and she never saw for the rest of the day either. Still, there will be a tumah midrabanan. My time, why? Kivan di ilu chazyu metamya. If she would see, she would be metame l'mafreya retroactively. Hashtanami metamya. Chacham made a gzera to metam her now as well, even if there was never actual riyah that happened during the rest of that day. Amar Rav Yosef, my kamashmalan, what is he teaching us? It is simple, everybody knows this. Tanina, we've already learned this halach in the Mishnah. Tavel yom shlachrav, if on day number 12 she was toivel, v'shimsha is beisa, v'achkach rasa, v'shama oimrim metama, v'shkaves and moishaves, uptur ben ha-karban. We see Beferish Mishnah that Beis Shammai say that certainly in a case where she was shomer yom keneged yom and she was toivel and she was mishamish and she sees dam, she will be metame mishkav al-moishav mafreya midrabanan. So you see that Chazal did make a gzera in this case, even though there were no grounds for tumah min Torah. However, Chazal imposed a tumah midrabanan mishum gzera. So what are you teaching us, Rav Huna? It's a Beferish Mishnah. Beis Shammai explicitly stated this halach in the Mishnah. Omer Rav Kahana, Rasa Shiny. How could you compare the halach of the Mishnah? In the Mishnah, she had a riyah, she was roya dam. And therefore, since she was roya dam on day 12, there is sufficient grounds to apply a gzera d'Rabbanan. Why? Because if this would have happened on day 2, meaning she was shomer yom keneged yom, beginning of day 2, she was toivel, and then she sees dam, in that case she would have been tamei min Torah. Therefore, Chacham applied a tumah midrabanan even on day 12. Even if this occurred on day 12, and on day 12, the Re'iyah is not Metam Mafreya, it is not Metam Min HaTorah. However, since if this would have happened on day 2, it would have been Metam Min HaTorah, Chachamim made Gzeira or Metam her even in this case, to avoid confusion. That's only because it was an actual Re'iyah. However, in the case of Rav Huna was being Mechalish to us, was teaching us a great Chiddush, that even if there was no Re'iyah, she's still telling Midirabanan. Again, she saw on day 1, on the beginning of day 2, she was Shem Yom Keneged Yom, she was Toivel, and there was never another Re'iyah on that day. Rav Huna wants to tell us that according to Beis Shammai, she is Tamei Mishum Gzeira D'Rabbanan. You have no Raya, you have no proof for that halacha. To that extent, to be Metamei an Isha, even if she doesn't see, she's Metamei Atu Rasa, Aloi Rasa, Atu Rasa. You don't see that. Where do we find such a Gzeira D'Rabbanan? You can't be a Raya from the Gzeira in our Mishnah, where she saw on day 12. She's telling the Rabbanan because she saw. Because there was a Re'iyah. The Gzeira de Rabbanan is applied because there was an actual Re'iyah. Although Min HaTorah she's tar, the Rabbanan applied a Tumah, because if this Re'iyah would have happened on a different day, she would have been Tameh. Here too the Rabbanan were Metamer. But you have no Raya. You can't compare this to the case of Rav Huna where there was no Re'iyah. How could you be Tameh Isha if she didn't see anything? So Rav Kahana is really responding to Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef said to Rav Huna, about Rav Huna, Mai Kamashlan, what is he teaching us? It is a Beferish Mishnah. It is an open Mishnah, open halacha in our Mishnah, that a Gzeira D'Rabbanan is applied to this case. So says Rav Kahana, in our Mishnah there was a Re'iyah. Rav Huna's Chiddush is that even if there was no Re'iyah, she's Tameh. So that is a Chiddush that is not stated in our Mishnah. Amar Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef responds to Rav Kahana, you're telling me that there's a distinction between our Mishnah and the case of Rav Huna. In our Mishnah there was a Re'iyah. In Rav Huna's case there was no Re'iyah. So Dr. Rav Yosef, Rav Yosef, says Rav Yosef, V'chira samay havi, Re'iyah the NIDAH. Sure, there was a Re'iyah on day 12. But let's remember, day 12, is it one of the Yemei Ziva? Certainly not. It is already a Yom NIDAH. The Re'iyah that happened on day 12 does not constitute a Re'iyah of Ziva. It is a totally different category. Now, regarding the Re'iyahs of the Yemei Ziva, regarding yesterday's Re'iyah, it is totally non-existent. It doesn't combine. It is as though she never saw anything. Halachically speaking, regarding the context of Re'iyahs of Yemei Ziva, it's non-existent. It is as if she didn't see anything. So, and if we see that Beis Shammai, a goyzer are metamer on grounds, on account of this Re'iyah, so evidently, Beis Shammai, we see that Beis Shammai is metamer in Isha, Mishum Gzeira, even if there was no Re'iyah that took place. So similarly, in the case of Rav Huna, on day number 2, she'll be tummy even if no Re'iyah actually takes place. So, yes, it is an open Mishnah that, according to Beis Shammai, the Gzeira D'Rabbanan will apply even when there's no Re'iyah. And what is Rav Huna teaching us? It is a Beferish Mishnah. Amalei Abai the Rav Yosef responded Abai to Rav Yosef. Rav Kahana hachikakashale. Rav Kahana had the following problem, meaning this that Rav Kahana said, Ras Shiny, he was coming to explain why you can't prove, you can't infer the halacha of Rav Huna to be Matame Isha on day number 2 when there is no Re'iyah. You can't compare that to our Mishnah, because in our Mishnah there was a Re'iyah. What Rav Kahana meant to say was as follows. It's actually a kasha. I have a difficulty with Rav Huna's Chiddush. How could you go ahead and say that Chacham were Matame Isha when there was no Re'iyah? Bishleima, all is good and well. Heicha de Rasa, when Isha does see, for instance, in the case of our Mishnah, if she sees Dam, so Chacham will say, well, if this Re'iyah would happen on a different day, she would have been Tameh. So here too we'll be Metamer. Gazrina Re'iyah Deniya da Aturiya de Zava. It will be geyser, although this is a Re'iyah of a NIDAH, it will be geyser and be Metamer Atu, since if this would have happened during the Re'iyah of the Ziva, she would have been Tameh. Here too she'll be Tameh. But how could you say, how could it enter your mind to be Metame Isha when she hadn't seen yet? There's no grounds to be geyser when there was no Re'iyah. You can't say you'd be Metame Isha when there was no Re'iyah Atu a Gzeira Mishum Rasa. We don't find such a thing. Meaning that what Rav Kahana meant to say was, that even though in our Mishnah it's a re'iyah of a NIDAH, and halachically, you're right, Rabbi Yosef, this is not really a re'iyah in the context of the ziva classification. With regard to ziva, this is not considered the re'iyah of day 12 is not considered a proper re'iyah, and therefore you were telling me, Rabbi Yosef, that Rav Huna's chiddush can't be inferred from the Mishnah. It is indeed a tremendous chiddush, and you can't ask Pshita, my Kamashmal, what is Rav Huna teaching us? It's fair shalach in the Mishnah. You're right on that account. The re'iyah of the Mishnah is indeed a re'iyah of a NIDAH, and regarding ziva, it is non-existent. What I meant to ask was as follows: logically speaking, how could Rav Huna be matam an isha that wasn't raya? The case in the Mishnah, in the case of the Mishnah, she was a raya. Practically speaking, there was a re'iyah. Whether we're considering it a re'iyah of a ziva or considering a re'iyah of a NIDAH, l'maisa, practically speaking, there was a re'iyah, and therefore there is enough grounds to be matam an isham because of Gzera d'Rabbanan. How could you, Rav Huna, be mechalish to me that even in a case where there was no re'iyah at all that took place, there was a re'iyah on day number 1, and day number 2 she was shemeh tahara, she was tevel, and now for the rest of the day no re'iyah actually took place, you're going to go be matam her as well? That is a tremendous chiddush. How can you do that? So that is the machlekes between Rav Huna and Rav Kahana. Rav Huna says, even if there's no re'iyah, we apply Gzera d'Rabbanan, because since if she would see, she would be tamei. So even prior to seeing, she's tamei midrabbanan on day number 2. Rav Kahana says, we don't find such a chiddush. That's impossible. We're not matamei isha if she doesn't see. There's no such a thing as a tumah for isha that wasn't raya Gzera mishum rasa. Says the Gemara, V'oid, in addition, I have a raya from a Mishnah a lot like you. I have a raya that if an isha sees on day number 1 and she needs to be shomer yom kineged yom on day number 2, and she was shomer and she was tevel, at that point there's no tumah d'Rabbanan at all. Her tahara is pending. We have to wait and see what happens the rest of the day. But if she is indeed clean for the rest of the day, there was no tumah that happened on the rest of the day of Yom Beis, we don't find any tumah d'Rabbanan applied in this case. How do we see that? We see in the Mishnah, if a man, if an ish sees one re'iyah, his tahara is pending. Even if he's tevel now, he has to wait and see what happens tomorrow. He has the same din as an isha. There is no halacha of shmir yom kineged yom applied to an ish. He is just a balkari, which has a tumah kala, a lenient tumah. V'tanya, we learned further, if somebody is to move the re'iyah, the ziva that he saw, it is pending. We have to wait and see what happens the rest of the day. Meaning, if there's no second ziva, fine, then it's tar. Then he's only a balkari. If a second re'iyah comes along, then he'll be tamei tuma ziva. But up until then, he is tar, and there's no tumah d'Rabbanan applied as well. Ubesilel mitarin mishkavos ubesil mitarin. Besil say no. When a zav sees a man sees one re'iyah, there is no halacha of shmir yom kineged yom. He is completely tar if he's tevel, and there is no need to be shomer yom kineged yom. Meaning that his tahara is not pending. Even if he'll go see another ziva, he'll be tamei going forward, but not retroactively. The concept of shmir yom kineged yom, where an isha needs to be shomer the next day with tahara, and if she sees the next day it combines with the previous day to tama retroactively, that only applies to an isha, not an ish. So again, there's a machlokes b'sham b'sil. If a man sees one re'iyah, whether the halacha of shmir yom kineged yom will apply. Continues the brayso, if a man was to lie or sit on something between the first and second re'iyahs, so again there's a machlokes b'sham b'sil. According to b'sham toilen, since he needs to be shomer yom kineged yom, so his status is pending. Let's see what happens. If he sees another re'iyah, then retroactively he was a zav to begin with, and he was matame his mishka b'moishav. According to b'sil matar, no, his tumah will be going forward. From the second re'iyah and on, he will be tamei, but not retroactively. Uktani reisha. Now, if we go back to the reisha, what did the reisha say? Haraya re'iyah achas shel zoiv. If he sees one re'iyah, b'shamer oimrim k'shemeres yom kineged yom. He has a din of a shemeres yom kineged yom, and what happens then? The Brisa said that according to b'shamer it's toilen. His tahara is pending. there's no tumah d'Rabbanan applied. There's no tumah at all until we see what happens. If he sees again, then retroactively he'll be tummy. If he doesn't see, that'll be tar gomer. It'll be tar, completely tar, without any tumah d'Rabbanan. Almost, we see from here, Shemeres Yom Keneged Yom. Since we compared him to Shemeres Yom Keneged Yom, so we see by Isha as well, who is being Shomer Yom Keneged Yom, Beishamei Toilin. On her second day, on day number 2, she merely has to wait it out and see what happens. But there is no tumah d'Rabbanan applied. So it's a kasha on Rav Huna. Rav Huna said that even on day number 2, there's a tumah d'Rabbanan applied, even if there's no re'iyah that actually took place. And says the Gemara, Loi, Teimo Shemeres Yom Keneged Yom. Don't say, revise the brayso. Don't say that an ish who sees ziva, one ziva, he has a din according to Beishamai as like a Shemeres Yom Keneged Yom. Don't say that. But rather, he has a din like a man who is boil, a isha who is Shemeres Yom Keneged Yom. In that case, certainly there is no tumah d'Rabbanan applied to the boil, and therefore it is a good comparison. We're comparing a man who sees a riyah to a boil Shemer Yom Keneged Yom, and therefore he merely has to wait it out. There's no tumah d'Rabbanan applied. He has to wait it out and see what happens, if he'll see another time or if he won't. Either way, regardless, the tumah will be going forward. If he sees again, there will be a tumah from the second riyah going forward, not mafreya. But you have no raya. You can't infer from here. What is the halacha of an isha who's a shemeres yom keneged yom? In that case, certainly, even on day 2, even if she was already shemer yom keneged yom and she was toivel, and she hadn't seen anything yet, there will be a tumah d'Rabbanan applied to her. That is Rav Huna's response. Ask the Gemara, you're making a differentiation between a shemeres yom keneged yom, where the Chacham applied a tumah even if she hadn't seen, even if she was a loy rasa. You're making a distinction between that and an ish who is boil a shemeres yom keneged yom. Generally speaking, the boil has the same din as the isha. But in this case, you're saying that the Chacham did not apply a tumah to the boil. His status is pending. He is not metameh d'Rabbanan unless there was an actual riyah. Why is that so? Why are you being matar the ish and not applying gzeira d'Rabbanan, tumah d'Rabbanan, and regarding the isha there is a tumah d'Rabbanan? Ma'ishna ihu deloy metab mishkav Moshe. Why regarding him he is not metab mishkav Moshe d'Rabbanan? Or ma'ishna why by her the metamile you're being metam hamad d'Rabbanan? Answers the Gemara, ihu deloy shchichi beidamim. By a man, it is not usual for him to see dam. He is not a source of dam. Like gozer Rabbanan will not gozer by him to be metameh him. However, the isha the shchichi b'damim, it is common, it is usual to find by her dam. She is a source of dam. Therefore, gozer Rabbanan, Chachamim will gozer by her to be metameh her, even if she wasn't roya. If she's holding during the second day, during the shemeres yom keneged yom, even if she hadn't seen yet, she's tameh midrabbanan. Continues the Gemara. Why is it that she is metame her mishkav of Moshe midrabanan? Why is she not metame the boil? Tosfos Rosh explains the Gemara's kasha is that if you're being metame the isha, if you're considering her to be tameh, so she should be metame the boil just by coming into contact with him with tumas maga. Answers the Gemara, mishkav of Moshe of the shchiach. For a woman to lie or sit on something and be metame it, it's common, it's usual, shchiach. Therefore, metamile, Chachamim apply the gzeira. Boil, a person to be boil a tmeya, the loy shchiach, something uncommon, loy metamya. Therefore, the Chachamim will not metame the man. So, in conclusion, we had a din in the Mishnah, a gzeira d'Rabbanan, where even though there's no tumah Torah, Chachamim imposed a tumah d'Rabbanan, and that applied in 3 different cases. It applied to if an isha sees on day 11, according to Beis Hillel, that night she could be toivel, and Torah she's tor. However, midrabbanan she is still tameh. Why is that? It's a gzeira, because if this would have happened on a different day, it would have been metameh. Chacham applied a tumah to this case as well. We have another case on day 12. If she is shemer yom keneged yom, she is toivel, she was shamish, and then she was a rasa. According to Beis Shammai, she is tameh midrabbanan, since she was rasa, and if this would have taken place on a different day, on the other Yimei Ziva, she would have been tamei mafreya. Therefore, Chacham applied a tumah to day 12 as well. And then we have Rav Huna's chiddush that takes Beis Shammai's chiddush and stretches it a bit further. He says, even on day 2, meaning if she saw on day 1, and she was Shomer Yom on day 2, and she was Tevel, and she hadn't seen anything for the rest of the day, still Chachamim imposed a Tumah D'Rabbanan on that day. Rav Kahana disagreed with Rav Huna. Rav Kahana says you cannot be Matam an Isha, she hadn't seen anything. Continues the Gemara. Tanan, Tavli Yom Shalachra, we have a halach in the Mishnah. If an Isha sees on day 1, and day number 2 she was Shomer B'Tahara, and she was Tevel, V'Shimsha, and she was Mishamish on that day, Harezu Tar B'Sra, it's a very bad behavior. Ma'agon U'Bilas Tluyim. Their actions are pending. They're totally. Why? Because if she sees that day, the Tumah on day 2 will be Matam Hulafreya, Menatayra. My love, is it not Divrei HaKoili? Is the safe of this Mishnah not following the Shita of everybody? Meaning, even according to Beis Shammai. And what does it say in the Mishnah? There's no Tumah D'Rabbanan. It is pending. We'll wait and see. If she sees again, she's telling Menatayra Mafreya, retroactively. Otherwise, she's Torah. And we don't find any Talmud Rabbanan imposed in this case. So we have a raya, we have a kasha on Rav Huna's chiddush. We see a Farish Mishnah states very clearly that there's no such thing as Talmud Rabbanan without a riyah. It says the Gemara loy Beis Hillel. This is only following the shita of Beis Hillel, and according to Beis Shammai, there would still be a Talmud Rabbanan in this case. The Sani of Linton a brayso, and we see from this brayso that the seif of the Mishnah is following Beis Hillel. Amar lehem Rabbi Yehuda Beis Hillel. To this behavior you're calling tar b'sra bad behavior? The case where a person is boil an isha on the day that she's being shomer yom k'neged yom, how could you only call it merely a tar b'sra? This man intended to be boil an NIDAH. It's not just a bad behavior, it's a terrible thing. Says the Gemara, NIDAH salkadaitach. We're not speaking about NIDAH, we're speaking about a zava. Ela ema, but say livel hazava. Rav Yehuda was telling Basil, this man had intended to be Beil Zava. Says the Gemara, Zava Salkadaitach. She's not a Zava either. She was already Shomer Yom K'neged Yom. She was Tevel. Technically speaking, she's still Torah. Why are you calling her a Zava? Ela Ema, but say Livo Shomer Yom K'neged Yom. This man had intended to be Beil Shomer Yom K'neged Yom. It's a terrible thing. He's taking an awesome risk. A very, very serious risk he's taking. If she sees Dam, she'll be Tamla Freim and Torah. So it's not just merely tar b'sra. So Rav Yehuda had a problem with the terminology of Beis Hillel. But nevertheless you see that who is the man de Amar? Who is this Shita? This is Beis Hillel. So Rav Huna responds and says that this seif of the Mishnah is merely Beis Hillel. However, according to Beis Shammai, certainly there will be a Tumah D'Rabbanan applied even in this case of a Lo Rasa, as Rav Huna's had stated earlier. Continues the Gemara. Itmar we've learned. Asiri, what is the halach of the 10th day? We've learned in our Mishnah, that the 11th day, day 11, there is a machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. According to Beis Shammai, she requires Shmir Shem K'neged Yom. According to Beis Hillel, there is no such requirement. Why is that? Beis Hillel explained, because the day 11 cannot be mitzdaref with the following days who are already out of the realm of Yimei Ziva. The question is, what about day 10? You see, day 10 could technically be mitzdaref with day 11. If she sees on day 10, she has to be shomer day 11. If she sees on day 11 again, she's a zavak tana, and she's tamei. So day 10 could combine with day 11. However, it cannot become a zavak doila, meaning day 11 cannot carry on to day 12. So the question is, according to Beis Hillel, who exempt day 11 from being mechuyev to keep shomer yom k'neged yom, because day 11 cannot combine with the next day, what's going to be with day 10? Do we say, since it carries somewhat potential to advance her status, it could develop into a 2-day ziva, if she would see day 11? So is that enough to consider day 11 as an ordinary yom ziva, and it requires shomer yom k'neged yom? Or perhaps, since it cannot develop into a full-fledged ziva, since she can't see 3 days of ziva, she can only see 10, 11, but no more, so perhaps day 10 is also limited and cannot obligate her to be shomer yom k'neged yom. Again, this is following Shittais Beis Hillel. Says the Gemara, Itmar Asiri. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Asiri Kitchi has the same halacha of day 9. Ma chi b'yishimur, just like if she sees on day 9, she's required to be shomer yom k'neged yom on day 10. Af Asiri b'yishimur, day 10 also requires shimur on day 11. Rish Lakish Amar no, Asiri k'achad asar. Day number 10 has the same halacha as day 11. Ma achad asar loy b'yishimur, just like 11 doesn't require shimur. Af Asiri loy b'yishimur, so too day 10 does not require shimur. Some taught the machlekes of Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish in a different version, on a brayso. Amar Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah Rabbi Akiva. Afilu atamarba b'shemen kol hayom kuloi ein yishmei halacha. How do you derive the halacha that a person who brings a Torah is required to bring a half a lug shemen and not a complete lug? From the fact that the Torah repeats the word b'shemen, oil, twice, we have a klal ein riboy achar riboy elu l'rabbi. So when the Torah repeats a riboy twice, it's coming to diminish, and therefore a Torah is only required to have a half a lug of shemen instead of a lug. That is the source of this halacha according to Rabbi Akiva. Says Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, that is not the source, that is not the root of this halacha. Even if you'll be marba, if you'll try to derive from the riboy of Hashem and Hashem the whole day, ein yishmei halacha, I will not listen to you. Ella, where then do we derive this halacha from? Ella chatzish lug shemen l'toida, the halacha that a toida requires a half a lug shemen, or revius shemen l'nazir, and the nazir who requires only a quarter of a lug. That's the second halacha. And the third halacha, v'achad asar yem sheben nida l'nida, the halacha of the 11 days of ziva, between the first Yimei Nida, Isha sees dam, she's tummy for 7 days, Yimei Nida. Afterwards come the 11 Yimei Ziva. Afterwards start again the Yimei Nida. This halacha, this concept, all the halachas that are pertaining to the Yimei Nida, Yimei Ziva, halacha l'Moshe Sinai. It is learned from Moshe from Sinai. So that was the machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and Azariah and Akiva. Where do we derive these halachas from? So now, on this statement of Rabbi Eliezer and Azariah, that the halachas of Nida and Ziva are halacha Moshe Sinai, on that, there was a machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. The terminology of Rabbi Eliezer and Azariah, that achad asar yom, sounds like he's speaking about the actual 11th day as well. There's a halacha pertaining specifically to day 11. And on that there's a machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. My halacha, which halacha applies specifically to day 11? Rabbi Yochanan amar halacha Yud Aleph. A singular halacha, one halacha will apply to day Yud Aleph. Reish Lakish amar hilchas achad asar, a plural. There are two aspects that apply to day Yud Aleph. Let's see what that means. Rabbi Yochanan amar halacha achad asar. Day 11 has one halacha, has one unique halacha applied to it, which is achad asar hu delay ba yishimur. Day 11 does not obligate shimur, does not obligate to be shemeres yom keneged yom. If she sees on day 11, she does not have to keep day 12 as a shmirah for day 11. That is only one halacha. Day 11 is unique in the sense that it does not obligate shmiras yom keneged yom. However, hol achrini ba yishimur, it does serve as a shomer yom keneged yom for other days, meaning day number 11 can be considered as a shomer yom keneged yom for day number 12, day number 10. If she sees on day 10, she is indeed obligated to be shomer yom keneged yom day 11. What we said before, that day 11 carries with it a unique halacha, it is a double halacha, it is in two aspects. Number one, lo yachad asar ba yishimur, day 11 does not require a shimur. If there is a riyah on day 11, she is not required to be shomer day 12. And in addition, it will not serve as a shimur for day number 12, for day number 10. Meaning that day number 10 is not required to be shomer yom keneged yom. And therefore, day number 11 has two aspects to himself. Number one, he does not obligate shomer yom keneged yom if there is a riyah on his day, on day 11. In addition, he does not serve as a shomer yom keneged yom for day 10, because day number 10 is also exempt from the halacha of being shomer yom keneged yom. So in conclusion, if an Isha sees on day 11, Beis Shammai require shmiras yom keneged yom, Beis Hillel don't. According to Beis Hillel, that are not b'chayev, that do not obligate shmiras yom keneged yom on day 11, what happens to day 10? There's machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan says, even according to Beis Hillel, that does not obligate shmiras yom keneged yom on day 11. However, that is only day 11. On day 10, she is required to be shomer yom keneged yom. Reish Lakish on the other hand says, just like day 11 is not required, so too, day 10 does not obligate her to be shomer yom keneged yom.